Hi, I'm Greg Filson, known from the BXG podcast. You can get that anywhere. I'm here to tell you about really great sunglasses from Ambassador Sunglasses. If you need any kind, any style, they really do a representation. Men or women, you'll find a perfect pair. Good prices, and with my promo code GTPHILS, all caps, you can get 50% off starting now. Yeah, please go ahead, get yourself a pair, get someone else a pair. They're a really good price. I can't recommend them highly enough. I've been wearing the 4 that I've got all the time, and I get compliments all the time. You will too. Ambassador Sunglasses, ambassador.com. Promo code GTPHILS.
Welcome to the BXG podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as Boba Fett and Scott Disick.
That's right.
This is episode 59. I'm one of your hosts, Brenton Bestwick, alongside my co-host, the baby bear, I suppose. It's because it's just right. The golden one, the golden boy.
The golden boy.
Greg
golden
Filson.
Boy.
How are you, Greg?
I'm doing all right. Finished up day 4 of teaching. So a little tired. 5th graders are they're a fun bunch, but they take a lot out of you. That 10, 11-year-old kids. They are got a lot of energy. Especially today. We don't know what happened, but apparently everyone at the school district was just ramped up, ready to go. It was a lot, but one more day to finish out my first actual week of teaching or being in a classroom, which is wild stuff. But I've made it this far, so it's actually gotten better every day. I want to say, and Janie's mom has been there. She was a teacher for 35 years, so she's been there helping me out. And no, it's been good. It's been good. Every day is a little bit better. I was told today by an upper grade teacher that kids are referring to me as the cool teacher, which is surprising because I've actually been kind of an a-hole.
Never good.
You
never want to be the cool one.
Bring discipline to everyone. So maybe these kids like discipline, which discipline's cool. Structure is cool, kids. That's what you want in your life. You want plans, you want structure, you want discipline. Maybe that's what this generation thinks is cool. Structure and discipline. Respect if that's true. How are you, Brenton?
I don't feel great. Kind of tired, but the show, huh?
Do you have sad?
No, I just the show must go on. I just don't feel like totally up to par, but it's good. It's I think it's a good show, but it's also not going to be a big show, so
it's okay.
That'll help.
Yeah, but we only can go with what the world gives us. We can't make stuff up.
Well, we could.
We could, I guess.
BXG Podcast publishes every Friday at 9 a.m. on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and other podcast services worldwide. Official BXG social media accounts on Facebook.com/BXG Podcast, Instagram at BXG Podcast, at GTFills at Y2B, Twitter at BXG Podcast, at GTFilson at Y2B. The YouTube channel where you can see exclusive trailer reactions for Cowboy Bebop, the live action Netflix series, and then the Book of Boba Fett trailer reaction. And then also we did a 3-man weave Dune review with our friend Ty from last week. Greg was kind enough to join us for that segment, but the episode as a whole was Ty and I, as Greg was on a mini vacation.
Yes.
Did you listen to the whole thing?
I did. Yeah.
How do you think it was? Yeah,
that was good. It was different because not listening to myself was like kind of a relief, other than the small parts that I was in. Because you said
small parts was 45 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, in the overall scheme of the show,
yeah, sure.
No, I think Ty. The one thing is that obviously I'm like the maniac. Right. You guys are more level. So if you want a more level discussion with things and not someone that looks like he's on amphetamines, even more so today than normal, like, even though I'm not, I don't take anything. I'm just an energetic guy. I'm just a happy guy. But no, I think, if you want a little change of pace from, my craziness, and we still, weed the show, Brenton and Ty both they cover stuff that we would still talk about anyhow. So it's still a good listen and download and undownload and then re-download and then subscribe and unsubscribe.
Right. One of the things that came from that episode was the conversation about a potential Mark Ruffalo-led solo Hulk movie based on the World War Hulk comic. We put out a poll on Instagram and Twitter to see if the fans of the MCU would be interested in that, and maybe a little surprising. I don't think necessarily surprising that overall people were down for a Ruffalo Hulk movie solo, but 83% said yes.
I think that's a lot to do with just Ruffalo's.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Ruffalo being just so great.
Yeah, I think so. Too. Before we get into the topics, Richard C. writes in and asks, what is the appropriate setting for the thermostat in the summer or the summer and winter? So obviously, if you have AC and then the heat, where's the thermostat lie?
We don't really turn it on unless it it really happens. I could be funny with this answer. I'm not going to be funny with this answer. I'm not going that route. I can
use air, right? I mean, you use the air.
No, we don't have air conditioning.
Oh, really?
No. This was built in the 60s where we live, and most California places, even newer, don't really have air conditioning. They just kind of let the cool breezes, because it normally doesn't get that hot on the ocean. Occasionally we'll hit, we'll get in the 90s, maybe 5 or 6 days a year, but most places don't have air conditioning. I'll tell you what, when you're growing up, at least at our age, they told you, between 68 and 72. That's where we're growing up. I love that 68. 72 gets a little too warm for me. I'm a cool guy, and I run cool, but I still like 68. If I have to put a little blankie on to warm up, I'm okay with a blankie. I don't want to be sweating in my house.
Right.
Yeah. What about you, Brenton?
AC in the summertime, which it's the humidity here more so than anything else.
Oh yeah.
And where I am, it is 68 is the setting all summer long. And then in the wintertime with the heat, it's 68's the high, 65 is the low.
Sure. Yeah.
So like things a little bit cooler. I'm a big guy.
Big guy, moving around a lot. Kids. Well, you got kids.
Not really moving around too much.
Okay.
But anyway, we have our 6-pack.
That's a good question. I want more questions like that. Just little what do you guys actually think about? Because these are important questions.
Right. Life questions. Yeah. Life questions for sure. So we have our 6 topics. We have 5 topics, and then we have, pop culture potpourri. So we'll get into number 1. And because we didn't cover the challenge proper, we did have a discussion, which I was surprised about, with the challenge last week with Ty, but he's not a avid viewer. So we didn't cover the episode. So we're going to do basically kind of like a double shot. We won't spend too much time on the episode from 2 weeks ago. I don't know that there's a lot to say about it.
I almost feel like it worked out well, because that episode was not.
There wasn't much going on. Yeah. No. But we did see Emmy and Uncle CT orchestrate a plan in which Emmy was voted by the Emerald Agency into elimination. She called down Bettina and defeated her easily and swapped places with Amanda. We later learned that Bettina was pregnant at the time. I'm assuming it was probably Corey's, or is probably Corey's, just because he just seems to spray DNA everywhere. And she seemed to be aware of it, and so that's why she took the elimination somewhat easy. Maybe, I don't want to say she threw it, but she didn't seem like
she didn't give her best
too hard.
Yeah.
But in this week's episode, we see the Ruby cell narrowly lose the Untangle a Heavy Rope Underwater Team Challenge at the social mixer. I don't know what to call that at this point.
No, that's correct. The social mixer. Yeah.
Josh tells everyone he's not voting for them, which will certainly upset someone when he eventually votes for them. The agency lands on voting for Corey over Logan because Logan and Josh can speak Spanish to each other. Corey then chooses Logan to compete in a tug of war where the rope is on fire for approximately 15 seconds. Logan uses the brilliant strategy of waiting until Corey takes one of his hands off the rope to win the challenge surprisingly easily. Logan then chooses to swap places with Kyle because the only person who knew the best move was to sabotage the Emerald team was the guy who just lost a tug of war contest because he kept letting go of the rope.
I think this episode kind of, and actually both these episodes were kind of a show of power of what Uncle CT really brings. Everyone just wants to be on CT's team. Like, yeah, the other team, the Emerald team has 6 people, but
and 4 straight wins.
And 4 straight wins, but people are just like, no, I gotta, because until the money's really at hand, I want to be on Uncle CT's team. And that's what this shows, is just the power, the gravity. Like, CT is the sun in the, in the solar system that is the challenge right now. He's not Johnny Bananas, but in this he is. And he's really, he looks good. He really made some hilarious faces in this episode, by the way. I'll just point that out. Really made some great faces. I guess, the strategy seems weird, but that the Sapphire team as a foursome looks really good.
Ruby, Sapphire. Yeah.
Yeah. Sapphire looks really strong. I mean, they do with CT.
No,
there's 4 of them though. There's 4 of them, but it doesn't really seem to matter with these challenges. Like it doesn't, the number doesn't matter as much. It's just that happens that, the colors really are just, the Sapphire team
blue. Let's just call it what it is.
Blue, green, and red.
And the red.
But, so they look better on paper, but, as long as you still have CT kind of hanging out there, eventually numbers are going to dwindle. And, having CT on your group, if it's about winning money at the end of the day, I want CT in my corner, no matter how far I go. At least I'm going to get maybe to the semifinals going that direction. So it looked, at first I was like, what is he doing? But then I'm like, well, you see the way Kyle was like grabbing CT's leg and going back. Sure. It's just like, you want to be on CT's team. And nobody on the other team is really a proven winner. They're there and they're winning these mini challenges, but I don't know, CT's maybe a perfect example. It doesn't really matter if you win those early challenges. It's about winning at the end. So
yeah. I just the thing I took from this episode is that, number one, I relate most closely to Big T.
You have to be brave.
I do have to be brave, but also I like a good donut.
Oh,
and if somebody slapped a donut out of my hand, I would also be highly upset.
I can't even imagine. I didn't realize what it was when you sent that because I hadn't watched the episode yet. And then I noticed that. I thought that. I was like, is that too easy? But no, you're right. No, somebody slapped the donut out of your hand.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I am vengeance. I'm vengeance.
But I don't do heights and I don't really work out. And I like a good donut and that sort of thing.
You don't like the water?
I'm not a huge fan of the ocean. So I think I most closely relate to Big T. At some point there's going to be like a competitive balance situation where they merge those 2 teams that keep losing. I don't know if that helps either of those 2 teams that keeps losing, but they're not going to there's 14 left, I believe. Yeah. Is that accurate? Yeah. So there's
6, 4, and 4. Yeah. 14.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
6, 4, and 4.
6, 4, and 4.
That's 14.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm a 5th grade teacher. I can do that.
Right. Hey, good for you. That's accurate. 7 each, 7 males, 7 females. Yeah. They kept saying like, oh, this late in the game. It's like, calm down. It's the first week of November. Yeah. It's the first week of November. We've got like 6 more episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think they'll probably pare this down to 5 apiece, and that's how they'll run the final. So them not voting in Logan is just like, asinine to me. Like, you say the whole time you want to do the vets thing, and then just basically, this kid's going to be your pawn. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Logan probably picks Corey anyway, so the result is probably somewhat unchanged. But I don't know.
I just felt like they wanted to piss Corey off more than anything. It was just like, let's piss him off, and his little emotional farewell to our friend of the program, Double Nelly T.
I have to say that their relationship is one of the most wholesome things on television.
I love it.
Yeah.
They
really just have each other's back no matter what.
I thought at the end with the farewell and everything, I was like, they need to have just a reality show. Those two hanging out.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
I agree with that. I would watch that 100%.
Yeah, it'd be great.
So we kind of do this every week. Where are you at with potential male winner, female winner, dark horse for each? Because Corey was my dark horse.
Yeah.
You said Amanda was a dark horse, and hopefully this series of episodes changed your mind on that.
I have no idea what she's even doing anymore.
Right.
So she's falling out of my dark horse, because I'm like, are you even trying, girl? Like, this is, what are you doing, girl? Yeah, that was weird, because she was trying really hard,
and then she was,
and then she just gave up. So yeah, she's out of my running. I'm gonna go with CT as my front runner male until I'm proven wrong. I'm gonna say my dark horse male is Devin, just because he just kind of sneaks by too somehow, and it's hilarious. I mean, he's on the appropriate team to sneak by, but it just feels like he can keep telling people whatever. Female, I'll say Tori. Yeah, I think Tori's probably my female, and I'm just gonna go with Big T as my sneaky female, just because she's kind of hanging around. I don't know if people are going to go after her. It seems like they kind of sneakily don't go after her now, which is weird. So I almost feel like she might kind of just wrangle herself in somehow into like a situation like last season, where she's just happens to be there, and then, okay, she wins. It's not, I'm going to say, like, I like her. I like Big T.
Right.
She may win just by default. And it's through really just no actual actions of her own. But sometimes people just forget other people are on this show.
That's true, but she's gonna have to run a final. Like, that's a big part of it. Like, just getting there doesn't, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm saying, like, there's always, like, still there's so much left in this show, like you said. There's a weird possibility where she somehow just ends up. I want to say Emmy, but it almost seems like they're focusing too much on Emmy, and I always get nervous when you focus too much on a person. Yeah. I either think it's either we're really setting up the win or we're really setting up the loss. Emmy's extremely likable.
Yeah.
And she becomes more and more likable each episode too. That's definitely a problem where, like, I foresee we're really, really liking her, and then she loses in the semis or something like that. So
sure.
I'm going to go with Big T as my, like, dark horse, just because it'd be so weird. But Tori's definitely got to be she has to be the female favorite. I just think she's actually does.
Let me throw this on there for you. CT is the favorite until he is eliminated. That's just how that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the Patriots with Tom Brady are the favorite to win the Super Bowl until they lose in the playoffs, basically.
Right.
So that's that. The dark horse male for me right now, mine was Corey. I'm going to say Josh. He seems to be playing a good game.
Yeah, he is.
And I think that he's got it maybe in a couple of the areas that Devin and Nelson don't. Like, I think Josh could do a puzzle better than Nelson, and I think physically he can outpace Devin. So I think Josh is kind of my dark horse at the moment. For the girls, I'll probably say Casey as the favorite female to win.
That's true.
Health is a factor. You know what I mean?
That's always my thing with Casey.
Yeah, that injury, but I would say it kind of comes down to either her or Tori. But since you're saying Tori, I'm just going to say Casey. And then I would say the dark horse, like you said, for me, it's probably Emmy. She doesn't seem like she performs super well under pressure, and that, the final is that. Yeah. So that might derail her. But we've still probably got, like I said, 4, 5, 6 episodes of this left. So
It probably takes us. I mean, it probably takes us into the new year because
No, I think it'll be over. It'll be over before Christmas.
You think so? Because they never have an episode the week of Thanksgiving, and they won't have a week of Christmas. So it's gonna be close.
But they'll do like the reunion shows and stuff like that. So they'll string it along. They'll string it along.
I hope so. I'll keep
watching
it.
It started in like February.
Yeah, something that feels like I like when CT. I like when TJ's like, Corey, hopefully we'll see you back. It's like, yeah, this is the only job he has.
Right.
TJ, he's definitely going to be back.
He'll be back.
But we will move on to video game news in that world. Not fun video game news, unfortunately. In Activision-Blizzard news, the Mega Gaming Corporation continues to take big losses in the wake of its PR nightmare lawsuit against the state of California for workplace harassment and a frat boy culture. For more on the lawsuit, refer to episode 45. Like and subscribe. In the recent week, Blizzard has canceled its annual BlizzCon in 2022. BlizzCon is one of the longest running conventions outside the big developer conferences such as E3, TGS, and Gamescom, etc. Additionally, they have announced that Vicarious Visions, the studio behind the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy, the remake of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, and most recently, the team responsible for Diablo 2 Resurrected is being folded into Blizzard as a support team and will rename Blizzard Albany. Finally, the developer announced that Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 would be delayed, possibly out of 2022 entirely. It is worth noting Diablo 4 lost its director, Luis Barriga, as a result of the ongoing harassment lawsuit, as he was reportedly terminated.
Wah, wah, wah.
Ooh,
yeah,
a lot.
This is I know someone who at one time invested in Activision-Blizzard, and it was basically because, they own Call of Duty and they own this and that, and that the Activision side is less of a bad actor at the moment than the Blizzard side. But I don't know how you they're in trouble, and they're and we're going to talk about another mega corporation who's in a little bit of trouble here in a little bit, but they're in trouble and they need some goodwill right now. And
it feels more like an avalanche than a blizzard.
There's their flagship series World of Warcraft is just hemorrhaging players right and left to more newer, more established genre games such as Final Fantasy 14, and the Diablo thing is not good. It's not good when you lose a director.
No, it isn't.
The problem with here's the big problem that I've always had with Blizzard is it takes them too long to make their games. And I think a perfect example of this would be that we're waiting on Diablo 4. It is 2021, almost 2022. I was playing Diablo 2 years after it released with Ty in 2004.
That's insane.
They take too long to make their games, and I just think that they kind of coast on their reputation a lot of times. And the thing that actually upsets me the most in all this is because Diablo is whatever, and Overwatch, I've never played the first one, and I know Ty is excited for Diablo 4, and he'll probably have to wait a little bit longer, but the Vicarious Visions thing is really the thing that I thought was the biggest shame, because that was a studio that made the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy. It was huge success, very popular. The remake of the Tony Hawk games, huge success. Those games were very popular. And the Diablo 2 Resurrected thing, which just recently came out and seems to be very well regarded, and they're just like, we're just going to make you a support studio now. You're not going to make anything anymore. You just help out with these other guys, make some Call of Duty maps. And so it's just that's frustrating, because you have a team that shows talent for whether it be remaking, remastering, or whatever games, and you're just going to stick them on probably fucking Call of Duty maps or, support. It's just a shame. So, I believe they settled that lawsuit. I have to double check to be sure, but they need a win. And right now it doesn't look like there's any coming their way in quite some time.
My question for this, you're more of the expert, of course, on this than I am, is like, how does this affect a company like this financially? I mean, it's just because it's weird. Like, if you keep pushing things back and you keep delaying, or you keep like not even producing things, I mean, there has to be some sort of financial repercussion, let alone the lawsuit, which is obviously financial, but on the actual end game of like, hey, this is what we do for our actual, company.
So there was an article, and had said, I don't remember, I think it was on IGN, that had said that they were counting on the financial windfall of Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 because they've been hurting lately.
Sure.
And so now that it's not going to put them in any kind of dire straits, simply because it is Activision-Blizzard and they make Call of Duty the best-selling game of the year every single year. So it's not as big of a deal, but they're not losing money, but they're not making as much money with these delays. And then also, like I said, the player base of World of Warcraft, which is a monthly subscription, is, kind of finally starting to die out. That's a really old game. So yeah, it's not good. It is a financial burden that they're going to have to bear until they're able to get these games out.
It's crazy. It's weird how these companies can rely on like one or two games and still make it by, and then scoot around with everything else. They're so popular games. It's not like these other games are not popular, but they can just scoot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it is, well, it's kind of like, we could get into another time. It's not really, I don't really think this is the time or place to kind of get into that, but yeah. I mean, they're a mega corporation. Activision-Blizzard is like the biggest publisher outside of Microsoft, like even bigger than Sony in some cases, in terms of like, their financials. But yeah, but you do bad things happen.
Right. It's just karma.
Yeah, something like that. In the last week, there were a boatload of new movie trailers, so we're going to give our thoughts on some of them. We did do the trailer react video, which you can see over on the YouTube channel for the Book of Boba Fett, but for our actual live reaction and a little bit afterwards. But just sum up, what you're thinking about this particular series.
It looks, the way I described it in there, and not to like spoil too much of that, but it's like, oh, it's the Mandalorian, but a character I know and already enjoy, and it's a show about that character. I was giggling with excitement over it. I mean, it looks amazing. Right. It looks so much fun. It like I talked about, it's a different take. It's the dark side of Star Wars, which is always intriguing to people. It's not like people, it's not a one-sided argument on Star Wars. Everybody likes both sides, or people choose which side they kind of root for or just enjoy watching or whatever, because there's not actually a big difference between that. And so I think it's just a good it was a good trailer, and I think it's gonna be a great show.
There was hang on. I think that the cool thing about Star Wars is, like you said, everybody kind of picks a side, good or bad, because the bad guys are, the quote unquote bad guys are just as interesting, or in many cases more interesting, than the heroes. And this will be interesting because this will kind of be, I mean, we'll wait and see. We'll see how it resolves or whatever, but this might be a case of the bad guy actually winning, because as cool as the bad guys are, as cool as the antagonists are across Star Wars, obviously Vader, I'm a huge Maul fan. A lot of people like Kylo Ren. I don't mind him. In the end, it's like the bad guys win by becoming good again. But I kind of want them, like some like really cool bad guy like Boba Fett, to just stay bad and just be like, no, the bad guys win in this one.
I would also just say, the thing about Boba Fett is he just wants money. So, whether he's good or bad is actually undecided. He's just a bounty hunter, and it's like, give me money, I'll do your job.
Yeah.
Which,
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
He's just more known to be like helping out the dark side, but he's really whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, you can head over to the YouTube channel and check that out if you're more inclined to, watch the trailer with us, basically. The House of Gucci, starring a host of people, but I would say primarily Adam Driver, Lady Gaga, and Al Pacino, De Niro. Al Pacino.
Jared Leto too.
He was okay.
Yeah.
Jeremy Irons floating around in there.
A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people in there. Probably not my speed, but
100% my speed.
Do you know what's funny about that is there was a time when it would have been my speed.
Sure. I think
because I was like in my 20s. I was like a movie snob, man.
Yeah. Yeah. This is to me, they're like that best combination of things where like it's gonna be a really good movie. And that's great.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be awesome. And Janie and I, we were watching the trailer like literally before we did the show today. And she's like, "Oh, we'll probably see that a couple times." So I was like, "Yeah, we'll see that at least a couple times. We'll probably see it, Thanksgiving night, because it has the appeal of the actors who are in it. But I also just really like those stories. And if you watch like those American like crime story shows on, I think it's like USA or one of those like cable networks that does that. There's like the Versace story,
right?
Like those fashion stories are crazy.
Yeah, there's definitely some mafia.
There's all that stuff behind it, and then this one, Janie's description is like, "Oh, it's like Godfather, but with fashion," and it's like, it's not that, it's
right. It's
obviously
just funny. That's just a funny comparison.
It's a funny way to put it, but it really is. I mean, like, and Lady Gaga's accent is amazing. She just,
that took me out of it.
If you listen to the actual woman that she's imitating, though,
is she Russian?
It's this weird Italian. It's just like super weirdly thick, like.
It sounded almost Russian to me.
Right. It does sound weird, but when you listen to the woman that she's actually like imitating, it is actually closer to that than a lot of people were getting on that. And then people are like, well, you actually have to hear this woman talk, because it's a weird Italian accent.
Gotcha.
And I think the thing that makes Lady Gaga a very good actress, and she's won an Academy Award, she's won an Emmy, aside from all her like musical awards, is that she has presented as actually being a very nice and courteous person, and always helping all walks of life. And then she plays these kind of she does. She has like all those foundations and things, and then she plays like these really like kind of gross people to some degree, or down and out luck people, and she is absolutely just vicious looking in this movie. I mean, she's 100% going to be nominated for Academy Award. I mean, I don't know everything else that's out there, but yeah, I think this is probably going to be like the most entertaining movie that comes out over the next 2 months. And entertaining meaning like, this is also good, but rewatchable. The Marvel movies will be entertaining, and rewatchable, but are they actually like good movies at the end, plot wise? So in that deeper, and it's a different thing. We're getting a new story. We're getting a story that isn't a comic book. So I think that's fun.
That is good. Yeah.
It's not your speed. I think you would still like it. I mean, you may not want to see it in theaters, but when you can watch it at home.
I used to like movies like that, and now I just don't have time.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite movies, because I think if anybody that listens to the show, they're like, oh, Greg's the guy who likes these kind of like weird arty movies, and Brenton just likes action and comedy. But one of my favorite movies ever is Lincoln.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that movie. I don't remember.
You're a history buff.
I don't think that made my top 10 though.
It didn't.
Ironically. Lightyear, Chris Evans.
So we have a preview about a sci-fi, rebel. We have a movie about like Italian family killing people. And we have a movie about a vampire superhero villain kind of anti-villain thing or anti-hero thing. This was the weirdest trailer.
Yeah, it was.
This one freaked me the F out.
I don't understand this.
I don't like Chris Evans is
fine.
Buzz Lightyear, and that's fine.
The real Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
Like the actual. This is the thing that confused me about this.
So he's the real Buzz Lightyear, not the toy Buzz Lightyear.
Correct. He is the person that the toy from Toy Story 1 through 4 plus all the shorts is based off of.
Yeah.
However, this is what I cannot wrap my head around this, is that the Buzz Lightyear toy exists in our world.
Right.
But this characters, there's like droids and aliens, and he looks like he's flying an X-wing next to the sun.
Yeah.
And going through dimensions. None of that happened to my knowledge. I mean,
that we know of.
Not all of the shit's been declassified yet, but
I was gonna say we have a lot of declassified information still floating around out there, but I don't know of this. And maybe maybe we'll get a government warning before this movie of like, all right, file 1734.6 has been classified.
Yeah,
this is the movie, or declassified. This is the movie.
Because like when they marketed it originally, when they announced it at the Disney Investor Day or whatever, it was Chris Evans will play the voice of Buzz Lightyear, the astronaut which the toy is based off of. I was like, okay, it's going to be like Apollo 13.
Yeah.
Not fucking Star Wars.
Who knows? I mean, like I'll probably see it, but it's just I'll probably see it because I'm just so confused, and I bet I walk out of the theater maybe more confused, because then there will be toys.
Understand.
Here's the thing: so when this movie is closer to coming out, there'll be toys of the Chris Evans Buzz Lightyear,
right?
As
because eventually he puts that suit on.
Yeah, so eventually he'll have that suit on, but then we'll also still have toys as Tim Allen's toy Buzz Lightyear.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen,
I just had a seizure. I'm sorry, Brent.
The BXG podcast where meets at the nexus of the universe, just like
it just happened.
Movies.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this was the most by far. Strangest.
There's a vampire movie we haven't even talked about,
right? Where
he flies for no reason, and yet this is the most confusing trailer,
right? Right. These are confusing times.
Yes, they are.
We'll move on to said vampire trailer, Morbius. I think there's a lot to say about this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even necessarily relate to this movie is maybe actually equally confusing, not equally confusing, but very confusing, because where does this movie exist?
It's Sony.
It's Sony.
But there's Michael Keaton.
There's the Daily Bugle from the Garfield.
Yes.
Spider-Man movies. They refer to Venom multiple times. That guy in San Francisco, at the end of the trailer, he says, "I'm Venom. Just kidding. I'm Dr. Michael Morbius." Okay, so there's a Venom reference. There's a Raimi reference where he's walking through the alley, and there's the Raimi suit Spider-Man with murderer written over top of it. But is that the Raimi suit Spider-Man with murderer, or is that Tom Holland, who everybody thinks is a murderer because he killed Mysterio?
It's crazy.
So the question is, where does this movie exist at? That's what makes this confusing.
I bet it's in the same universe as like where Buzz Lightyear is the actual astronaut Buzz Lightyear, not the toy Buzz Lightyear.
But he's not.
The toy
astronaut. Yet. He's a fucking Jedi.
He's a Jedi. And so Morbius is a vampire anti-hero who can fly because of trains.
So this is my thought on all of this. Okay.
If you're confused, watch these trailers, because we're very accurate in our descriptions.
We're not making any of this up. But to dial this back into some version of reality, this is what I think is happening. Force to be with you. This is what I think is happening. Is everybody lost their minds regarding when we used our arcane powers to pull Venom to the MCU, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm reading the tea leaves a little bit here. Tom Holland saying, well, I don't know if this is the last time Spider-Man appears in a Marvel movie. This is going to be like the end game of Marvel, Spider-Man and Marvel. This is, it's the longest Spider-Man ever. This is what I think is happening. I don't think the multiverse is pulling Morbius and Venom into the MCU. I think it's sending Spider-Man into the Sony Spider-Man universe.
Yes, it is.
And that's where everything winds up. It's going to wind up in not the Marvel universe. It's just going to wind up. They're just going to take him out. This is going to be the end of Spider-Man, Peter Parker. This is going to be the end of Peter Parker in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And they're going to send him on his way. And he's going to be allowed to exist in the Sony Marvel whatever Spider-Verse that they're creating over there. And they've made the agreement that they're going to use Venom and Morbius or whatever as a tool for this. And we're going to get Miles as a replacement. That's what my grand prediction is as to how No Way Home shakes out.
I love it. That'd be amazing. And it'd be funny if we hear about this and Sony's like, yeah, we actually had this in the books 10 years ago. And we had this all worked out. We've, and it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me at all if this is just the plan all along. And here we are. So we'll see if we use our powers again. Yeah.
Well, I think people would be disappointed. I think people will be disappointed if that's what it is. Because you want Spider-Man in the MCU. You want Peter Parker in the MCU. Because people don't know Miles as well. And I hate to say it, but there will be backlash because there was a lot of haters with Black Panther. Oh, it's just doing great because it's all black cast. There were haters with Shang-Chi. People don't know Miles as well as Peter Parker. And so there will be rumblings of they're just doing diversity for diversity's sake. Which isn't the case, I don't think, but that would be my fear of them doing that. Even though I actually think Miles is a cooler character than Peter at this juncture in time.
What if, and I agree as well. What if, and just to spin a web, as it were, what if No Way Home introduces Miles, but he's in the Venom and Morbius universe. So Spider-Man still exists in that universe, but then we keep Tom Holland as Peter Parker because people want Peter Parker, Tom Holland in the MCU. And Tom Holland doesn't know anything because he's not allowed to know anything because he spills the beans so much.
Right. That's
so there, I'm trying to just.
I just think that's how they. I just think that's how they.
I like yours
this
more.
Chapter of Spider-Man.
I like yours more. Yeah,
we get to keep Spider-Man, but it's Miles.
Yeah,
and then
who is our Miles? Who is our Miles? Do we know? Will we have any picks? Yeah, I don't have any.
I mean, you need a younger kid who's, black and Puerto Rican. So yeah, I don't have that information on deck, like a Rolodex of actors who fit that bill. You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
So
either. No, that'd be cool.
Yeah. But that's an awesome. Miles is an awesome character, and yeah, then you can get into the Prowler and some of these different things, just trust us. Go see Into the Spider-Verse, which also the second one comes out next November, I believe. Yeah, but we'll move on.
We will move on.
And we'll see if we're right. We've got about 6 weeks to see if we're right or not.
Yeah, I think we'll know by the new year. We'll know so much, or nothing at all. I guess I don't know. That's sometimes how these things work. But moving on from an anti-hero to a villain, Facebook, as we discussed in episode 57. Would be changing its corporate name and appropriately pick something completely ridiculous and going with Meta. However, Mark and the gang failed to run a Google search to see if such a company already existed. And sure enough, there is a company named Meta, and they're willing to part with their name for $20 million. They should have aimed higher. Yeah, $20 million. What the hell?
Yeah,
what are you doing? ask for 100 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, ask for whatever. That's insane.
Candy shop.
Yeah.
It's just when we started this podcast, so this is peel back the curtain, a little bit of trivia. We were going to name the podcast The Nexus, as in the Nexus of the universe, like it's in the introduction every time, which is a Seinfeld reference. Because it was going to be, the nexus of pop and nerd culture. Well, guess what? I Googled, is there a podcast called this? And sure enough, there is, or was. I don't know if it's still active. So you couldn't have just it's freaking Facebook. They're one of the biggest corporations in the world. They couldn't just run some Google searches to see is there any corporations with this as their name? This is just so Facebook to me.
Oh, and yeah, it's very appropriate.
If it weren't for the fact that Facebook is one of the places where we promote this podcast, I would not be on it at this point.
Oh yeah, if my mom didn't want to be on Facebook to check out what people are doing, mostly you and Melissa and just your kids, that's kind of the primary reason, I wouldn't have it either.
Right.
But in the podcast too, it's just one of those things where I hardly use it. I kind of check in time to time just to repost stuff from you or from the podcast and things like that. But it's just, it is your great aunt's tool, for the most part to actually use it. So it's just more of Zuck being Zuck, layering on the zinc oxide and having no idea what the hell exists out there outside of Facebook.
Being a Zuck and being a great big suck.
Yeah.
Had to do it. Yeah. Best of luck to them though. Hopefully they can come up with the 20 million to
if they
pry the right.
Look up for the couch cushions, they might find.
Speaking of naming things and not knowing that other things were, did you see that the soon to be minted Cleveland Guardians are facing a lawsuit from a long-standing women's roller derby team in Cleveland?
No, that's amazing and not also shocking. I mean, when you told me what the name represented, I thought to myself later in the day, I was like, well, that probably is a name then by someone. So
yeah,
they
did their very best to try to find something that wasn't used, and they just landed. I guess. I mean, I don't. Yeah, there's a women's roller derby team, the Cleveland Guardians, and they're
the Fire Lakers. That would have been awesome.
The Fire Lakers, yeah. I wanted them to go with the Spiders, but that was just me.
I wanted them to go with the Rocks.
Yeah, the Rockers. That was out there too. The Cleveland Rockers.
I just wanted them to be Rocks. Cleveland Rocks.
That's already the Rockies, though.
But the Rocks.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
They're not mountains. They're just rocks playing guitars.
We move on to a topic that involved death threats during the pre-production of this show. In BXG, keeping up with the Kardashian news because we have to. We don't.
Counting
Kim
cards.
Kardashian
With a K.
Kim Kardashian West and Saturday Night Live star Pete Davidson were seen together at Knott's Berry Farm here in beautiful California. Well, not here, there.
Here, but
we're
here where I live.
Right. No word yet if they're officially together, but Davidson is definitely the definition of the rebound guy. In other Kardashian news, Scott Disick came out of his silence since ex Kourtney and Travis Barker announced their engagement. Kourtney posted on Instagram a picture of Disick and her daughter Penelope dressed up as Cher Horowitz from the 90s classic Clueless. Disick responded to the post, "Oh, Cher, don't forget she can't keep driving her Jeep without her driver's license." So it looks like Scott has come out of his hole. Now we'll see what teenager he will invite to the wedding. I want to know what Pete Davidson's secret is, because he's comically unattractive,
and he knows it.
Maybe
he's funny. And there's that thing about when you're, when you are, a kid like I was in school, or a little pudgy, and then well, that doesn't matter. People just want you to be funny. And so you do that, and it still doesn't work with the ladies because it doesn't actually matter. I'm sure there's a secret with Pete that, we don't know. Yeah, he's, got something going on there. If we, I'm sure that's it. I'm sure, I think Pete Davidson's probably a fun guy to hang out with too. He's cleaned up his game. He's, not sober, but he's not like strung out on, he's kind of where John Mulaney should be.
Right.
He's not completely sober, but he's not just high as a kite on cocaine all the time. He's in that nice zone where he can control his abuse of their narcotics and the alcohol. The thing I really wanted to bring up was, I talked about what's happening. We don't hear anything from the Kardashians, and there had been like really nothing.
Good.
And then finally we get Kim going on a date with Pete Davidson. So you have Pete Davidson, the ultimate rebound guy. We got Kim. They went out again last night, Wednesday night. So we have this, maybe another celebrity couple of like people that don't make sense. Travis Barker and Courtney are engaged. Scott Disick on the whole. If you haven't, in all seriousness, if you haven't seen Penelope dressed up as Cher Horowitz, it's adorable. It truly is adorable. She looks so cute. It's great. It's just great to have the Kardashians back, being relevant in the world of like, what the hell is going on? I don't understand any of this because I missed that. We didn't have that for a really long time. They were just kind of being normal people. And I don't like that. I don't want them to be normal. I want them to be the keeping up with the Kardashians, counting cards, double Ks. And this is why I wanted to bring this up. We have them back. I'm looking forward to who Scott does bring it away, and that'll be big news. We'll definitely be on the top of that here at the BXG podcast, whoever Scott brings. And also, Courtney and Travis had some really good Halloween photos out there too. So check those out. Look them up. Little Edward Scissorhands action. They're great. So I'm just happy they're back. Keep doing weird stuff. Chloe, if you're listening, I'm sure you are, friend of the program. If you're listening, come on the show because you don't seem to be doing it as much. No offenses and anything like that. We're not shooting shots. We just want you to come on the show. Talk about your sisters, talk about your family. So this is just Chloe, come on the show. We're inviting you on.
Moving on.
So launch of the pop culture potpourri. The Atlanta Braves won the World Series by defending the Houston Horrible Fucking Cheaters. I saw that they changed their name officially last night. I didn't catch it till it was late last night, but it
doesn't take place until after
next
the season.
Next season. So the Astros, formerly known Astros, Houston. I actually think in the interim they're actually known as the Houston baseball team. But until when next season starts, the horrible fucking cheaters. So that was good. I was happy to see it. It was really a World Series where I didn't care who won. I watched it still because it's baseball, and I didn't
watch any of it, but I cared.
I should say, like, I wasn't like emphatic until honestly, I wasn't emphatic until it started, and then I was like, oh right, I hate the Astros, the former Astros. I hate
Houston Asterix.
Yeah, the Houston Asterix. I hate them so much. It's weird rooting for the Braves because I've never rooted for the Braves my entire life.
Right.
And it was weird at first, but then it's like literally I was like one pitch in and I'm like, oh, get out of here. Like you just see Altuve come up to the bat and you're like, you little cheat, actual little cheat. So I was happy to see the Braves win. Still, things are a little weird there with the tomahawk chop. That can still be a little weird. But
is it?
Well, it's weird in the sense that, the Florida State Seminoles actually have like the actual tribe.
Yeah.
Okay. And everything. And so that's why they do it. Then the Braves kind of just took it over. I mean, it's just it's not great. I mean, it's nowhere near the way of like the Washington football team's former name. Because that's why they haven't changed it, or even your team, the Cleveland Cleveland Guardians. Trying to just put that in there. Maybe not Guardians now. I mean, I wonder how much the roller derby team will. They should ask for $100 million too. But we'll see what. I think this might have been one of the craziest baseball surprises ever. The Braves traded for a bunch of players, including Rosario.
Eddie Rosario, who I literally forgot played for our team this year.
And they had
so average.
Yeah, and they got Soler. They got some bangers, Duvall, and so they had some bangers, and I think they finished the season. Their last 62 games, like 42-20 or something. Mm-hmm. So they were on fire.
Yeah.
they were definitely on fire, which is great. So, good for them. I think next season is going to be really wild because there's going to be, I think, a lot of changes. And I will say one, too, is Freddie Freeman. As much as I'm not a Braves fan, good for him. I think he's the most likable guy in baseball. Actual likable. Everyone likes him. He's a chatty guy. He's a fun guy. And just one other baseball point I'll bring up is that Tom Brady has a higher percentage of winning a Super Bowl than Mike Trout does of hitting a baseball and getting on base. So that's just a fun little
football stat. And because Mike Trout wasn't involved in the World Series.
No, I'm just saying it's a baseball stat that I learned this week. Mike Trout has a 303 career batting average. Tom Brady has a Super Bowl winning percentage of 7 out of 19 seasons playing, and that's 363. It's crazy. Moving on. The next gaming app has rolled out in the US, but only on Android devices. Additionally, even if you have a Bluetooth compatible controller, such as a DualSense, you will not be able to use it, as the service, as of this time, utilizes touchscreen controls. All you need to get in on the action is an active Netflix account. However, the offerings are limited at this time, with 2 Stranger Things games and 3 casual games, including, I almost said Teeter Up, Shooting Hoops, and Card Blast. Well, those all sound amazing.
Can I ask you a question? What is that company's name again?
Teeter Up?
No, the company.
Netflix?
Oh, it sounded, both times you read it, it sounded like you said Netskins. It's weird.
Yeah. The team, the TV internet company. Sorry.
Yes.
TV internet company team.
Yeah.
That's what they're called.
Netflix.
I don't know. I thought it
Netflix. This was they've been trying to like get in on gaming. I think they bought a couple studios. None of these games look like mobile games. They look like games that you get in the iStore or the Android's, Google Play Store. And so this is of no interest to me.
No, or probably anyone else.
Yeah. No.
I see something released on Android device only, and I'm like, yep, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? That's what I have. I have an Android.
Oh, okay. In other gaming news, the PS5 has sold more than 13 million units in year 1 despite supply shortages and pandemic. While Xbox has not released numbers, industry experts have triangulated, good word, sales around 8 million units. I like the word triangulated.
Indeed. Yeah.
It's a
respectable. 8 million is respectable, but it's not 13 million. And
I was at my Target the other day and I went past and I saw some PS5 games.
Yeah.
And I looked to see if they had their PS5s. No. Said PS5s currently sold out.
No, you have to get it. You have to order it online.
It's a bummer.
That's the only way you can really get one. You got to know a guy, basically.
Know a guy who knows a guy. Or just get up to 50,000 subscribers.
For us.
And you'll get one. Yeah, for us. Yeah.
Well, not everyone. Not everyone.
No, it's like some lucky winner. Right. Some lucky winner.
Yeah.
I'm not eligible, so don't worry about it, everyone.
No, he's not, and I'm not.
Because it'll probably be yours.
Because it'll probably be mine, but you know who is eligible? My son. Let's see.
As long as he subscribes.
Oh, he subscribes.
Okay, good. JD, the meatloaf.
Yeah. Right. Well, listen, 50,000. We've got a ways to go.
Yeah, we do.
It might be by the time we get 50,000 YouTube subscribers to give away a PS5, there's a really good chance that I'll be buying it from a thrift store. So I think
my hair will be white, not yellow.
Yeah. I could probably I'll be able to easily pick one up at a pawn shop for like a ham sandwich and a bag of moldy grapes or something.
Well, maybe that's just the future will be so quick. We'll see what happens.
Right.
Robert Downey Jr. and Matt Damon have been added to Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer alongside Cillian Murphy. So that's a good cast
because I don't like RDJ is Tony Stark.
Yeah, so that's perfect.
But everything else that he's done hasn't been great. So this will be interesting.
The Sherlock Holmes movies are pretty
It's
fun.
very average. They're very
but it's
average.
fun. It's fun.
Yeah, they're very average. And then he was in Doolittle and it bombed.
Chaplin.
Charlie?
Yeah.
What about him?
He was Chaplin.
When was that?
In the 90s.
Yeah, that doesn't count. I'm talking about recent.
I know. I just recent memory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is Iron Man. He's Tony Stark. We'll see what happens.
Right.
Unless he is just Tony. I mean, did Tony's? I don't know. I don't know my Oppenheimer. Does Tony Stark exist in the Oppenheimer? No. What about the multiverse?
Just go.
Is this all Marvel Studios? Just okay. Friend of the program, Gal Gadot has been cast as the evil queen in the Disney. We're talking it into existence, Brendan.
Yeah.
We'll have her as an in-studio guest whenever you come out to California. We'll invite her onto the program on the beach. Gal Gadot has been cast as the evil queen in the Disney live-action Snow White.
But there was already a live-action Snow White.
I was just saying, I thought we don't
Snow
have a
White and the
action.
Huntsman.
Yeah,
Snow
that's
White
a different
and the Huntsman.
movie. And the Huntsman.
Yeah.
So
that was more about the Huntsman than anything else.
She will be the evil queen in the other Snow White
live action
movie, live action. Okay.
Yeah, I think Charlize Theron was the
that's right.
evil queen in the Huntsman.
All
iteration.
Fast and Furious related.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know who hasn't been in a Fast and Furious movie? Is a Hemsworth.
That's weird.
Yet.
Oh my gosh, that screams a Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't been to Australia.
Let's do it. Number 11, Fast and Furious, Australia. Oh my god.
We need to get on the horn with Dom Toretto, Vin Diesel.
And make it one of the top two Hemsworths too, not tertiary Hemsworth.
No,
just get Chris.
We just want
get Chris. Yeah. Liam's good, but get us Chris in these movies. He'd be great. We know he can do exactly what they need in these movies.
Yeah.
In existence. I'm so excited. I'm sorry. I just got so excited thinking about a Hemsworth. The Hemsworth, Chris in a Fast and Furious movie. Oh my gosh.
I think that's a Twitter poll or an Instagram poll. Do you want to see Chris Hemsworth in a Fast and Furious movie? If anybody says no, they're getting called out by name.
Oh, here's the thing. If you don't, we're going to call you out, and then you have to tell every one of your friends to subscribe on YouTube.
Right.
You have 100%. To, or we will hunt you down like Snow White and Huntsman.
Right. Which is different than this.
Than the other Snow White.
Yeah.
Boondock Saints 3 confirmed with original cast and director.
This is like Boondock Saints is like a big cult thing. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen?
I have. Just like most people that have seen it, just in college, only in college, never once before or after.
Okay.
I didn't have the poster on my wall though, so I was a little left out of that circle.
Was it like one of those things where you had to watch it on like an 18-inch TV?
No, I mean like it was definitely on our TV in our apartment in Pittsburgh with Ty.
Okay.
And our roommate Nate.
Dr.
Topper, if he's listening, like and subscribe. But we watched it once. It's definitely an entertaining movie, literally built for that age group. I think if I watched it now, I'd be like, "Whoa, okay." So if you're in that age group and you're listening, that's probably perfect. You're probably in the right show. You're probably on the right show.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. So go watch the movie
because we're just two almost 40-year-old guys holding on to
I'll hold on for the rest of my life.
Holding on by dear life.
What do I have to look forward to going forward? You know what I mean?
Fair.
Stay back.
Stay
back. I guess the only thing I really have looking forward to is like just the fact that like once you get to a certain age, it doesn't matter if you don't care anymore. People are just like, whatever. He's old. Yeah, it's probably senile. But so
Indeed.
The movie will probably be fine.
Yeah. Sure.
I don't know. Yeah. Rocky 4, the ultimate director's cut is a thing. Good.
Yeah.
Give me
noises.
Give me like Rocky 4, the multiverse cut where he's somehow in the
multiverse. Stop it.
This is the episode of the multiverse.
No, it's
Speaking
not.
of the multiverse, Garfield's in it.
Oh God, this is a whole other fucking
Garfield's in the multiverse apparently. Chris Pratt has been cast as the voice of Garfield, and the internet reacted poorly, to say the least.
Here's my thing with this. The guy's just trying to work.
Yeah.
He's just trying to work. You know what I mean? Like, everybody got upset when he was cast in the voice of Mario, understandably, because he's not an Italian plumber, last I checked. But he's just trying to work. You know what I mean? Like,
he's not going to turn down things.
Yeah, he's just trying to do a job. And honestly, he's coming off of he's going to be doing Guardians.
Yeah.
He's coming off Jurassic World 3. Like, he just probably wants to take it easy and do a couple movies where all he has to do is show up in a voice booth and do some lines. You know what I mean? So like, I don't blame Chris Pratt for taking these jobs, honestly. Like, I think it's cool to make fun of. I think we're kind of in a place where it's like kind of cool to make fun of Chris Pratt.
Well, you know what I think he is now? He's the Nickelback of acting.
Kind of, yeah.
Where it's like, when they first started, like, I mean, Nickelback was on the radio all the time.
All the time.
And everybody liked Nickelback.
As our listener John Kish would say, like, they're like the most played band of the 2000s or something like that.
Sure. And so like Chris Pratt, people loved him on Parks and Rec. So then, he gets big from that. He gets in shape, does Guardians, does Jurassic Park. Everybody still loved him. And then what really hurt him was when he and Anna Faris got divorced.
Right.
And it was and it wasn't under great circumstances. And he ended up marrying the Schwarzenegger. And and it's just, things happen. I'm sorry. Like, whatever the circumstances are, that happens in just regular day life, everyone. Right. I'm sorry to tell you that. And you shouldn't you can't make your real life people into superheroes. I mean, that's where it is. I still think Chris Pratt is a funny guy. I think he can have his moments. Yeah. I hate that people are, I haven't crapped on him because, I would take a paycheck. Exactly. We've told about, it's one of those things, like, you're going to take a paycheck. Why would you, everyone will take a paycheck. It's weird.
Somebody came to us and was like, you know what? Nobody listens to your podcast, but we think you have potential. We'll give you 10 grand for it. Like, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I can do,
Well, it's, that's one of those things, like, people will submit to cash. It's weird that people get on this. It's just, there's like this whole thing about we all like kind of making, I don't really crap on celebrities. I'm kind of like, it'd be cool to be one. I'd like to make money for doing,
nothing,
this kind of job. Yeah. So we'll move on.
First of all, I'm pro Chris Pratt. I'm pro Chris Pratt too, but I still can't get the image of a burnt rat out of my head whenever I hear his name.
That's right.
Crisp rat.
Yeah. It is weird. It's like Ted Lasso. We just keep saying things over and over again. You can't get out, and then it's not a word anymore. Crisp rat. And doesn't even.
That's the name.
I don't know. I mean, like, whatever.
Don't hate on Chris Pratt.
Yeah, don't hate on Chris Pratt. He's actually playing a cat. Whoa.
Oh, that's meta.
Oh, who hates Mondays and loves lasagna.
Right.
What? I guess it's another thing too, is like, doesn't meta. Everyone?
Not a big fan of lasagna.
You're not a big fan of lasagna?
No.
You gotta get crispier. I think that's the thing.
Crisp rat.
You want a crisp rat lasagna.
All right, let's go.
Okay. Ava DuVernay, who is set to direct a New Gods film for DC, hinted the project was canceled due to the popularity of the Snyder Cut. She said in an interview with Andy Cohen on SiriusXM, my overall deal was at Warner Brothers and DC is at Warner Brothers, DuVernay said. So once I got to Warner Brothers, I was like, I'm going in that vault and I'm looking at what y'all got. And I love New Gods, which is the project that got axed. The studio decided they did not want to pursue a certain part of that comic world based on some things that were going on with another film in that world.
Yeah, I think that's specifically dealing with Darkseid and the fact that all that was kind of dealt with at length in the Snyder Cut. I have two schools of thought on this. Is like, number one, I'm happy that all the DC stuff is just getting blown up because of the Snyder Cut. But at the same time, if you would have just done it right in the first place, then a lot of these cancellations or rearrange or whatever would not be happening.
Right.
So you know, I honestly, I think that DC is going to be what DC will be until they can get somebody like Kevin Feige to shepherd the properties in a meaningful and coherent way. Is it's just going to be Batman and then everything else.
Yeah.
And if you get a couple cool things out of it, like, you know, the original Wonder Woman, the James Gunn Suicide Squad thing, then, you know, it's like finding $20 in your pocket that you didn't necessarily expect to find.
Mm-hmm.
But until they can find someone who's going to shepherd these properties in a coherent and meaningful way, then that's what it's going to be. It's just going to be Batman and everything else.
Yep. It's hard to make something new when a lot of your other stuff just doesn't work with the wrong people.
Right.
That's
yeah.
And Batman's still very cool. I watched the trailer again today.
Yeah.
So Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You re-entered the American Spotify charts at number 45 with 373,000 streams on November 1st, marking the fastest ever return to the charts. I mean, it's a banger. It's an absolute banger. I don't listen to Christmas music until Black Friday. I refuse to have it going. I'm a big, once Black Friday hits, I'm a Christmas guy all the way. But I'm a big Thanksgiving guy. I like my transitional holidays. I like my Halloween, obviously. That's why my hair is yellow. I love Thanksgiving. I like cooking. I like football. I like a little
anything else there, Hank Hill?
Yeah. Well, I do. I love cooking the meal. I love the timing of it.
That's the thing. Propane products.
I would love to do it. That'd be great. But you know, one of the great thrills in life is timing that dinner with everything. And so that's why I like Thanksgiving. You know, Christmas is a little loose for me. Thanksgiving's a tight knit. It should be a tight knit group of food coming out on the table. And then Black Friday comes along and everything hits the fan. And that's when Mariah Carey should make her reappearance on the charts. People want Christmas a little too soon. No, I'm not really a fan. I'm not anti-Christmas. I
don't like that song because it's like, I don't want a lot for Christmas. Like, okay, well, what do you want? I just want you saying I'm not a lot.
Well, I mean, like a lot of things.
I don't know. Read into it how you will.
I mean, Mariah Carey, banger. It's a banger. It's a good Christmas banger. Favorite Christmas song, Brett?
I don't care. It's barely November.
Right. Good answer. Correct answer.
Making Christmas from The Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's good. Take-Two, publisher of Rockstar Games, GTA, and Red Dead series, as well as yearly money printer NBA 2K, took a $53 million bath by canceling an unannounced game rumored to be a new IP for Hangar 13, the studio behind Mafia Games.
This seems like a lot of money, but this sort of thing happens all the time.
Yeah,
probably not that much money, though. That's a lot of money. Like, famously, Santa Monica Studios, who's the studio behind God of War, had an entire game canceled that was like 75% of the way done, that was never announced. It was a science fiction game, and it just got axed. And just then they made God of War 2018, and now Ragnarok here in the next year or so. It happens, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to take a poo-poo on.
Yeah, I mean, they could have just given us that money.
Yeah, they could have.
Suddenly, Doctor Strange merch appears to confirm Shuma-Gorath, the great old one, and longtime Doctor Strange nemesis. What was the merch, you ask? A giant coloring book and a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. Yeah. The character has a strong resemblance to the giant kaiju starfish in the James Gunn Suicide Squad film. The Good or Bad Doctor is scheduled to concur on May 6, 2022.
I just love that it was on an adult coloring book and a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle.
It's like the most
usually
perfect thing.
These things come out in like like action figures or like Lego sets. Lego sets are notorious for leaking things that are in upcoming like TV shows and movies and stuff. But an adult coloring book and a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle.
It's like we're gearing these for like, socially awkward late teens and grandmas.
Yeah.
That's how they were trying to sneak the merch past everyone.
Yeah.
They're like,
yeah,
two groups of people that could care less about Doctor Strange or just want to have the colors.
Yeah, I want to know the person. I want to meet the person buying the 1,000-piece Doctor Strange jigsaw puzzle.
Someone has no idea what that even is.
They're just down with puzzles.
They're
just like, oh, look at colors.
Medicine?
Yeah.
Podiatrist? I don't.
Oh, it's a starfish. He must be a biologist.
Yeah, he's a biologist.
Like a marine biologist.
Oh, so he doesn't have his they're like, oh, but he doesn't have a PhD or his MD. Yeah. He's a PhD. I see. Yeah. They're like, yeah, he's his PhD. I understand now.
Marine biology.
Marine biology. Excellent.
Media recommendations. Good grief.
So watched American Psycho this week. That's always a banger. Always great. Love it. I mean, I know that movie word for word at this point, of course. So that's fun. We started Dope Sick, has Michael Keaton in it. It's about the Oxycontin hit the 90s and how the company that created it, was trying to cover it up by making it seem like it wasn't actually addictive. You on Netflix season 3. I would say this so far has been no, not you, not Penn Badgley. It's starring Penn Badgley of Gossip Girl fame. First 2 seasons are actually really good, but this one seems to be, I think this one's more digging into the psychology of all this kind of stuff. So it's been super good. And this was my first weekend off since I moved back to California 2 years and 4 months ago. So just watching football, even though of course the first week I can watch Michigan, they lose. Yeah. And every NFL game was kind of a dog baby. It was okay. I'm just happy to watch football. I'm glad I could just sit at home, watch some football, not worry about the world. And being a teacher makes it hard to like keep up because you're tired and you're grading things at home.
Yeah,
so
well, that was the funny thing. Whenever I read that you put that in there, it was always prior to the job change. It was like, well, one of these days I'm going to get a job with regular hours and I'm going to be more on top of things because I don't have to work 55 hours a week. And it's like, well, here we are.
I mean, well, the one thing is like the weekends are different now. I mean, you just happen
that's your catch-up time.
That's my catch-up time. And once football, and we're more than halfway through college football. And so once that's over with, Saturdays will be more free. There'll be a lot of like actual free time once this just happened during college football season, which is my, it's my favorite day of the year every week is the fall, schedule of Saturday football. The actual best time of the year is, of course, March Madness. That doesn't come close, I think. When you get that first weekend, that's going to be amazing. That's taking that time off. That's so much fun.
Yeah.
Brenton, what about you? Media recommendations?
Far Cry 6. I think this game's getting a lot of bad press because it's Far Cry. And the formula hasn't changed. And I really feel like if this game is substantially better than Far Cry 4 and Far Cry 5, but because they haven't iterated on the formula in however many games, people are poo-pooing it. But Giancarlo Esposito plays the villain, and we all know that dude plays a great villain. And like we talked about, I did get an email from him.
From Giancarlo Esposito?
No, they send you, like, when you have certain milestones in the game, they send you an email from his character, and he's like taunting you. And it has like some stats and stuff in it. So that's what I've been playing, and I'm sensing that I'm getting towards the end. So it's like all hands on deck to just kind of power through that. And then my intention, so we talked about reviewing this, but because it came to Netflix on a weird day, it came on a Wednesday, we ended up not, but I'm going to watch The Harder They Fall, which is a Western with Jonathan Majors and Idris Elba. And I plan to actually start it probably when we're done. But other than that,
I'll watch it this weekend too.
So The Eternals this weekend.
Yes. Yeah.
And Red Notice.
Seeing it Friday.
And Red Notice.
And Red Notice is this weekend. We got a lot going on. Yeah, I got a
so we'll
high
have
school
those
play
two
to go see. Janie's high school has Clue,
Oh, okay.
so that'll be fun. I think we're going to see Clue, and then we're going to go see the Eternals, and then I'm going to wake up very early to hopefully go get some morning barbecue and take advantage of my weekend.
Yeah. So next week we'll have the challenge. Obviously, we will have the Eternals, and we will have Red Nose for reviews. It's a lot going on. In addition to everything else as usual. We made the decision that we are going to postpone the Christopher Nolan movies. Greg's starting a new job. There's a ton of movies this month that we just naturally need to see, like the ones we just mentioned, plus a couple others. And I'm just tired of. I'm kind of just tired of watching movies. So we are still going to do the Nolan movies. It's just not going to be this month. And then we'll get back in to December with the Harry Potter thing, but we're going to take a month off from.
It'll just be called the Nolan Not November.
Yeah. Right. Something like that.
Which is fine.
Right. Yeah.
They're great movies.
Yeah.
It gives everyone time to catch up on them, not just us.
Right. Right. So that'll probably get punted maybe towards the spring. And what do you think for an extra episode? Something quick and easy. Something we haven't done like a top 10 list in a while.
I say we do a let's see, top 10 Christmas songs.
We'll talk about it and make a decision later.
Top
in
10
the month.
Thanksgiving songs.
Are there any? That's not a thing.
Isn't it weird? There should be a Thanksgiving song.
Yeah, I don't know.
Top 10 names for the Cleveland former Indians.
I'll tell you what,
since they won't be the Guardians.
You're onto something. Why don't we just do our top 10 songs?
Top 10 songs. Oh boy.
Yeah. We haven't done a music. We haven't done any genre.
Yeah, we haven't.
We haven't done a music list since literally our first list.
Let's do it. I love it. Top 10 songs. Whoa.
That's one that we
I don't know what's going to happen. This is going to get wet and weird.
We could probably get through that in like an hour.
Oh,
Less than an hour. Less than an hour.
Because we don't have the rights to these songs. We can't even play them or anything. So
right. So we just talk about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Top 10
I like
songs.
that. BXG Podcast publishes every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 a.m. Pacific Time, 4 a.m. Hawaiian Time.
Aloha.
On podcast services around the globe, Spotify, Amazon, Google Podcasts, Apple, we're everywhere. Everywhere you can get a podcast, we're there. Social media accounts, Instagram at BXG Podcast, at GTFills, at Y2B, Facebook.com/BXG Podcast for news and updates. YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, I think you have to be like verified on YouTube to get like your channel link, and we're not there yet. Sunday, but you can check us out over on YouTube. Search for BXG Podcast. You see our trailer reacts videos and stuff like that. And tell your friends, tell your family,
tell your mothers and your leddies
about the unmistakable essence of the BXG Podcast. Take care, friends.
Thanks for listening.